Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Burke, and this is my final assignment for AEP 855 Educational Leadership. I am obtaining my master's in elementary education with an emphasis in ESOL, English as a Second Language. Throughout this assignment, I hope to discuss with you why I chose this area of concentration, where I found my resources, how multiculturalism is affecting school systems today, the importance of understanding culturally diverse students, socioeconomic status effects on student achievement, and lastly, the different leadership challenges we may face. First, I would like to start out with a little about me. I'm about to finish my master's in elementary education with an emphasis in ESOL. I have taught third grade for 3 years now. This will be my fourth year coming up, and I'm excited to share my knowledge base with that of my mentee. This is my first year mentoring, and I am very excited about that. I do teach in a low-income school. Most of my students, or the students within our building, are very low income. Some are middle class. I've had as many as 5 different languages spoken within my classroom at one given time, and that's the home language, of course. My students are not fluent in either languages. In the top right is a picture of my school here in Garden City, Kansas. The big tree's gone now, sadly, but there's new ones coming in its place. The heart that's shown at the bottom, it says it's a heart made with my students' hands from last year. This was a diversity assignment that I did. And what it was doing is that we were explaining to the class how all of us are different. We all have different skin color. We all act differently or speak differently, but then we all can love and care for one another. And that is in a frame that's on my desk. The articles that I used are called Unpacking Multiculturalism in the Classroom, It Ain't What You Say, It's How You Say It, and lastly, I Need Help. I found my resources from the Fort Hays State Library website, and I also located some of them from the ERIC website, which is the Educational Resource Information Center. And I've used both of these online resources throughout many of my courses through Fort Hays. Article 1 is called Unpacking Multiculturalism in the Classroom. And really what it was about was explaining how we need to embrace diversity and not look at it as a hindrance to our school systems. Teachers need to guide students to reflect on and question the world around them. As teachers, we can model to our students the importance of being understanding and accepting of others, and by modeling to them or guiding them towards questioning what's around us will allow us to get to know one another better and understand our differences. Teachers need to think about issues of difference, power, and privilege when connecting lessons. All of our students come from different backgrounds, and it's our duty to help all of them learn on a level that's appropriate for them while connecting to them individually. What teachers need to do. We need to create a caring community. I hope and I think all teachers do this. They're caring, they show compassion, they teach manners, they show respect and teach respect, and that's part of what needs to be done in order to create a caring community of students and staff, and that can then carry over into the community outside of school. As teachers and faculty within a building, we need to avoid stereotyping. An example of this could be that some people say if you're of Asian descent, you're extremely intelligent in math. Another stereotype could be that all low-income students need direct help, immediate help, and don't have the benefits that a lot of us do. Those are stereotypes that we need to push aside, not think of, and let our students show us who they are and what they can do. Lastly, we need to differentiate material for our students. Differentiation is key so that we can teach our students on the appropriate level of all of them individually. We do that really good here in Garden City. I hope that we can continue and share that with others, so that all of our students can achieve at their own academic level. What teachers need to be aware of. And I feel that being aware of is the key word here. We need to be aware of everybody's cultural backgrounds, whether as the teacher or as different teachers and staff within our building, and also that of our students. We all come from different backgrounds, we have different traditions, but we still can be respectful of one another. We need to be aware of our individual prior experiences. I know that I currently have different prior experiences from that of my students. I grew up on a farm in small rural town, western Kansas. Most of my students don't even know what it's like to be on a farm. So I try to always make connections when necessary, but most importantly, connect to my students' prior knowledge. Lastly, community settings. It's important to have the involvement of the community so that the kids see how important life is around them. And so you need to be aware of the different leaderships, the different activities that might be going on, so that we can connect our students to the community and our community with our school systems. Article 2, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. What this was talking about was mainly how students learning a second language need clear directions, they need time, and they need to make sure that you say it properly. As it states, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We can teach many different types of material, but we need to teach it on a level and in a way that's appropriate for our second language learners. We need to properly educate pre-service and in-service teachers on teaching in diverse classrooms. It also describes us culturally and linguistically diverse students as anyone whose first language is different from the mainstream, which would be our ELL or ESL students. Lastly, all teachers need to react, relate, interact, and encourage students can affect a student's knowledge base. Students look up to teachers and faculty within the building, so that we need to lead a positive role model and react, relate, interact, and encourage our students in the best way possible. Next is Stephen Krashen. Krashen talked a lot, was well known for his second language acquisition. So Krashen discusses a student's affective filter, which is when a student may be sitting in a mainstream classroom and isn't understanding the direct material being taught because they're confused or show lack of motivation. That would mean that their affective filter has gone up and they are no longer learning the material needed. Krashen also suggests providing comprehensible input to help make more connections. Really what he suggests by that is always make connections to our students, whether it's prior knowledge or that within their own community. Connecting to their lifestyle is bringing in another outside resource that can help our students succeed. And lastly, clear and explicit instructions need to be given. That is very specific for all of our students, and more specifically our ESL students. They need to make sure that they can understand the short, simple directions and follow through with the assignment. Most teachers come from different social and cultural backgrounds than those of their students. Much like I suggested, I come from a very different background than those of my students. New and future teachers need to be accepting of others. We need to accept one another as adults in order to model for our students how being accepting of others can build long-lasting friendships. Districts need to embrace culturally, linguistically diverse teachers, candidates, and look for change within academic classrooms. I hope that we can encourage more teachers out there to obtain their ESL endorsement or even a master's, so that they can better communicate and understand their students. The last article that I'm going to discuss with you is called I Need Help, Social Class and Children's Help Seeking in Elementary Schools. What this talked about a lot about was the difference between middle class and the working class, and how the middle class children usually have support and more attention at home from family members or those within their household or neighborhood, and that they're okay with asking for help and wanting to be accepting of others. while the working class, most often students can sometimes be left at home alone. They don't get a lot of attention and don't necessarily know how to ask for help. So the first bullet says, socioeconomic status can affect a child's academic achievements. Teachers place false judgment on child's behaviors. The behaviors can then affect a child's opportunities. And this can somewhat be true, and I'm sure all of us have had an experience like this in our own classrooms, where a child reacts to something. We judge them based on what we know, their economic status, their background, and then how we reprimand them or how we handle the situation can then affect a child's opportunities within the classroom, within the school, and possibly later on in life. Teachers' instructional style can greatly affect a student's ability to learn. Now, we say that we need to differentiate for our students, and much can be said for teachers. Every teacher teaches differently. We care differently. We approach our teaching philosophies differently, and we present our material differently. So with that being said, we need to try our best to communicate with our students since they don't have a chance to choose another teacher. But we need to work on our educational teaching styles. The middle class. At least one parent has a 4-year degree. The students ask for help more often. Students speak quickly, loudly, and clearly. They're usually that child saying, me, I have a question. And the students want to meet the teacher's needs. What the article talked about was most often they ask questions over and over and over again until they get the answers right because they deeply want to support, or they deeply want to make sure that they are meeting the teacher's needs and that their assignment is done correctly. The working class. Most parents have a high school diploma and some college. Most have blue-collar or service jobs, working odd hours, and most often when a child is at home, they're home alone. Working class students rarely admit they need assistance. They'll be the child that sits back and another student asks and then they say, oh, me too. Or they may not say anything at all. This refusal to ask for help causes bigger problems. One of the examples that the article gave was when two students of working class sat there together on assignment. They never asked for help, and as the time was up, the teacher goes, you guys don't have your assignment done, now you have to stay in and do it at recess. It then caused them a bigger problem. If they would have asked for help sooner, they could have understood the assignment, they could have had that one-on-one attention, and they also wouldn't be missing another privilege of theirs being recess. These students tend to wait for help instead of seeking help. Okay. Lastly, here are a few of the leadership challenges, and I address them in two different ways, as a principal and as a teacher. As a principal, we need to create a multicultural, informational, rich work environment. All of our teachers and staff, janitors, cooks, sysops, everybody needs to be working together to create this multicultural environment. Next, we need to make sure that we get better parent and community involvement, especially in low income. It's not always easy, but the parents do care. They need to see where they can be needed and where their help can be of assistance. And I want to provide my staff with current, purposeful, and meaningful support. I know a lot of us have sat through in-services, and as soon as we leave, we go, that was boring, or that was unnecessary. We didn't learn anything from it. So I hope that they're providing meaningful support for their staff. As a teacher, I need to develop a good understanding of my own personal background and prior knowledge in order to better understand and assist my students. I need to continue seeking professional development by attending classes or in-services. And I need to try to involve parents, even knowing they're working class and low income. There's many different challenges, and the list could go on, but I think you need to start at the top and to obtain those goals. And then together, all of us can create better learning environments for our students. Thank you for listening.